The boardroom was silent. 8 directors stared at my parents. The lead director asked one question. Who actually grew this company by 340% in 3 years? My father opened his mouth. Nothing came out. My mother looked down at her notes. My sister, the one they'd picked to inherit everything, stared at her phone. I stood at the back of the room, a folder in my hand and 3 years of proof on the screen behind me. They picked her. The board picked the truth. How did I go from invisible to indispensable in one meeting? That answer took 3 years, 2 betrayals, and a stack of receipts they didn't know existed. If you're watching this at 2 in the morning like I was the night I put it all together, drop your time zone below and hit subscribe because you're going to want to see how we got here. Let me take you back to the day they made their choice. I grew up in my family's manufacturing business. My parents built it from nothing, and I loved watching them work. But I was always the quiet one. My sister Emma was the charismatic favorite. She could walk into a room and own it. I walked into rooms and got to work. After business school, I came home. I wanted to help grow what they'd started. I spent 3 years in the trenches. Late nights on the factory floor, rebuilding our supply chain, pitching new vendors, saving product lines that were bleeding money. In my second year, I landed the Kellerman contract. It was worth $1.4 million annually. Our CFO sent a memo crediting my vendor renegotiation for saving the company $1.2 million a year in costs. At family dinners, my parents would smile and say, "The business is doing well." They never said "you're doing well." Emma's role? Marketing coordinator. High visibility. Low output. She posted on our social media and attended trade shows. Important work, sure. But she wasn't in the margins, and she wasn't in the mud. Our retiring COO, a man who'd been with my parents for 20 years, pulled me aside one afternoon. "Make sure they see you," he said. I've watched this family a long time. I didn't understand what he meant, not yet. But I started keeping a shadow folder. Every project I led, every dollar I recovered, every email where someone thanked me for pulling us out of the fire. Not paranoia, insurance. I didn't know I'd need that folder so soon. 6 months ago, my parents called a family meeting. We gathered in my father's home office, the same office where I used to do homework while he balanced the books. My parents sat behind the desk. Emma sat in the chair beside them, confident and calm. I stood near the door. My father cleared his throat. "We've made a decision about succession," he said. "Your mother and I are ready to step back in 6 months." My heart jumped. 3 years of work. This was it. "Emma will take over as CEO," he continued. "She'll receive controlling shares when we retire." The room tilted. "You'll stay on as VP of Operations," my mother added. "We need your skills." I found my voice. "I rebuilt the supply chain," I said. "I landed Kellerman. I saved us over $1 million. What has Emma done?" My father's face hardened. "Emma connects with people," he said. "Leadership isn't just spreadsheets." Emma smiled. "I think we'll make a great team," she said. "You handle the boring stuff. I'll handle strategy." Boring stuff. 3 years, and I was the hired help. "This isn't fair," I said. "It's final," my mother said. "We'll announce it to the board and staff next month." I left that office and sat in my car for an hour. I didn't cry. I just stared at the building I'd helped save. And I wondered if I'd ever mattered at all. I tried to fix it the right way. I emailed my parents asking for a private meeting. I wanted to show them my work, lay out my case. My mother replied in 2 lines. "We won't revisit this. Please respect our decision." I called the COO. "They already briefed the board," he said. "It's done." "I'm sorry, kid." That night I sat alone in my office. The same office where I'd built every spreadsheet, written every proposal, fought every fight. I opened my laptop and pulled up a resignation letter template. Maybe I was never supposed to be seen. Maybe quiet competence doesn't win. I looked at the shadow folder on my desktop. 3 years of projects stared back at me. Revenue growth. Contract wins. Cost savings. Metrics that didn't lie. But what if they just didn't care? What if the numbers didn't matter because I wasn't the child they wanted to see succeed? I hovered my cursor over the New Document button. Then I stopped. I remembered what the COO taught me on my first day. Numbers don't lie, even when people do. I closed the resignation template, and I opened the folder. If they wouldn't see me, maybe the board would. I pulled every file, every project, every initiative I'd led in 3 years. I built a spreadsheet. Revenue growth from 2020 to 2023, 340%. I cross-referenced every contract, every new client, every saved account. 89% of that growth traced directly back to my work. 89%. I found the CFO memo from 8 months earlier. Quote, "Thanks to narrator's vendor renegotiation, we've recovered significant margin and stabilized our supply chain. My name, my work, my results. I found the Kellerman contract with my signature on the pitch deck. I found the quarterly reports I'd written, the product pivots I'd designed, the hires I'd fought for." Emma's name appeared in exactly 3 documents. 2 social media campaigns, 1 trade show attendance log. I sat back, they knew. The CFO knew. The COO knew. My parents just chose not to see it. I drafted a short email to the COO. "Can I get 10 minutes at the next board meeting? I have something they need to see." He replied in 5 minutes. "I'll get you 5 minutes. Make them count. 5 minutes to save 3 years of work." I'd make them count. My parents didn't wait. 3 days later, they sent a company-wide email. The subject line, "Exciting leadership transition." Emma's headshot filled the top of the message. Underneath, "Incoming CEO." The email praised her strategic vision and my dependable support. Dependable support. I watched my inbox explode. Coworkers congratulated Emma. No one mentioned my name. Emma started acting like CEO immediately. She reorganized 2 teams I'd built. She pitched a rebrand to the marketing department. She scheduled a press release for the new era of leadership. Then she called a meeting with my 2 best project managers. I wasn't invited. An hour later, one of them texted me. "I just got reassigned. She says we're pivoting away from manufacturing." My blood went cold. Manufacturing was 74% of our revenue. I found Emma in the hallway. "What are you doing?" I asked. She smiled. "I'm thinking we pivot," she said. "Manufacturing is so old economy. It's 74% of our revenue." "Exactly," she said. "That's why we need fresh eyes." She walked away. The next day, both project managers resigned. One sent me a message. "I can't work for someone who doesn't understand the business. I'm sorry." I wasn't fighting for a title anymore. I was fighting for everyone who'd actually built this place. The board meeting was in 4 days. I went back into the shared drive. If Emma was planning a pivot, there'd be a paper trail. I found it in a folder labeled Vision 2024, a draft presentation deck. 60 slides. No financial model. No risk analysis. Just vibes and buzzwords. Slide 6 made me stop breathing. Divest manufacturing assets. Transition to licensing model. She wanted to sell the factory. The factory that generated 74% of our revenue and employed 60% of our workforce. I kept scrolling. Slide 12. Lean operations. Outsource production. Translation. Mass layoffs. I checked the file metadata. Last edited by Emma, 2 weeks ago. Then I did something I hadn't done before. I checked her LinkedIn activity. She'd been in meetings. Lots of meetings. With a private equity firm called Crestwood Capital. The messages were polite but clear. Excited to discuss acquisition opportunities? She wasn't planning to run the company. She was planning to cash it out. I downloaded everything. The deck. The LinkedIn screenshots. The meeting logs. This wasn't a succession plan. It was a liquidation. And my parents had no idea. I needed to understand why. Why would my parents choose this? They built this company. Why would they hand it to someone who wanted to destroy it? I called the CFO and asked to meet off-site. We sat in a coffee shop 2 towns over. "Off the record," I said. "Why Emma?" He sighed. Your parents want a gentle retirement, he said. They're tired. They want to stay involved but not responsible. And Emma promised them that. She promised them consultant roles, $250,000 a year each, advisory only, no stress. I felt something crack. What did I promise them? He looked at me. Nothing, he said. You just worked. And I think that scared them. Scared them? You're aggressive, he said. You push. You want to grow? They're afraid you'd push them out entirely. I sat back. It wasn't about competence. It was about control. Emma made them feel safe. I made them feel obsolete. She offered them a fantasy, relevance without effort. I offered them reality, growth without them. They chose the fantasy, and they were about to pay for it. Thanks, I said. He nodded. Good luck at the board meeting. I didn't need luck. I had the truth. I spent 2 days building the presentation. Not a hit piece, not a takedown, just the truth, organized and undeniable. I called it Succession Risk Analysis. 3 sections. 1. Historical performance. Revenue growth, contract wins, cost savings, all attributed and sourced. 2. Proposed strategy review. Emma's plan, her projections, or lack of them, and the workforce impact. 3. Undisclosed conflicts. The private equity meetings, the asset sale proposal, the consultant packages. No emotional language, no accusations, just data. I rehearsed it once in my apartment. 5 minutes. I timed it. 4 minutes, 52 seconds. I cut 8 seconds. Then I deleted the resignation letter I'd drafted. I didn't need it anymore. This wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about me. It was about accountability. The COO texted me the night before. You're on the agenda. 10 minutes. Don't waste them. I replied with 1 word. Ready? I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table, the presentation open on my laptop, and I thought about everyone who'd worked beside me. The project managers who resigned. The factory workers who didn't know their jobs were on a slide deck. The company my parents built and I'd helped grow. I wasn't fighting for me. I was fighting for all of us. The board met on a Thursday morning. 8 directors. My parents at the head of the table. Emma beside them, polished and confident. Me at the side, a guest in the room I'd earned. My father opened. We're here to formalize the succession plan, he said. Emma will present her vision and we'll move to a vote. Emma stood. She walked them through her deck. Slides full of abstract language. Disruptive innovation. Marketplace agility. Brand-first strategy. One director asked about revenue projections. Emma smiled. We're focusing on long-term brand equity, she said. No numbers, no model. My parents beamed. Then the COO cleared his throat. Before we vote, he said, we have a risk assessment. 5 minutes. The lead director nodded. I stood, I connected my laptop. The first slide filled the screen. Succession risk analysis. My name at the bottom. I didn't waste time. 3 years ago, this company's revenue was $4.2 million, I said. Today, it's $14.3 million. That's 340% growth. I clicked. A chart appeared. Every initiative. Every contract. Color-coded by owner. Green for me. Blue for Emma. 89% green. 89% of that growth traces to projects I led or co-led. I clicked again. The CFO memo. This memo credits my supply chain work with saving $1.2 million annually. One director leaned forward. I clicked. Emma's draft deck. This is the proposed strategy. Divest manufacturing, our core revenue. Transition to licensing. No financial model. No risk mitigation. I clicked. The LinkedIn logs. And these are undisclosed meetings with a private equity firm. Discussions about acquisition opportunities. The room went silent. The lead director turned to my parents. Who actually grew this company by 340%? My father opened his mouth. Nothing came out. My mother looked down. Emma stared at her phone. The director turned to Emma. Who authorized discussions with Crestwood Capital? That was exploratory, Emma said. Not disclosed, the director said. Not approved. He looked at the board. I moved to pause the succession pending full review. Remove current leadership from operational authority. Appoint interim CEO. Second, another director said. All in favor? 8 hands, unanimous. The gavel tapped. This company will be led by the person who built it. He looked at me. Congratulations. My parents stepped back quietly. No public scandal. No press release. They moved to advisory emeritus roles. No operations, no votes. They kept their salaries and their dignity. But they were no longer in control. Emma left the company within a month. She sent me a text 2 weeks later. I never wanted that job. I just wanted them to be proud of me. I understood. We were both trying to earn something that should have been given freely. She took a marketing role at a startup. Last I heard, she's happy. No family pressure. No impossible expectations. Just work she actually chose. The board confirmed me as CEO after a 90-day review. My first act? I reinstated the 2 project managers who'd resigned. My second? I announced a profit-sharing program for every employee with 3 or more years of tenure. The people who built this company deserve to benefit from it. We grew another 28% in year 1. We expanded the factory. We hired 30 new people. We didn't pivot to licensing. We doubled down on what we did best. 6 months after the board meeting, my parents invited me to dinner. It was awkward. My father said, "We're proud of you." It should have felt like victory. It just felt late. But I said thank you, because I meant it. I set a boundary that night. I'll always be your kid, I said. But at work, I'm the CEO. We need that line. They nodded. We're rebuilding trust. Slowly. It's not perfect, but it's real. I didn't fight to punish anyone. I fought because silence would have destroyed what we all built. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're necessary. The board didn't choose me over my sister. They chose evidence over assumption. And that's the only way anything survives. So here's my question for you. Have you ever had to prove yourself to the people who should have already believed in you? What boundary did you set? Or what boundary do you wish you'd set? Drop your story in the comments. I read every single one. And if this story hit home, subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from. Oh, and one last thing. This is a fictionalized dramatization based on real experiences. It's not legal or financial advice. But it is the truth about what happens when you keep receipts, stay calm, and let the work speak. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.